Did they make
No,
contact?
I don't know. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Right
Look at
there,
this.
moves
Wow.
him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bump and run.
There it is.
Maine to really turn around, Maine to Reilly's cage up.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D.Y., joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Joey Logano type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Phoenix. And of course, your 2022 NASCAR champion. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we will be doing this podcast throughout the off season, but we will be taking breaks. So every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks or so, we'll do an off season episode just to make sure you like, share, and subscribe. That way you don't miss it. Hit that bell on YouTube, and it'll alert you when we post new stuff. But fellas, how the hell are you doing? How's your weekends? I saw Eric on Sunday. How about you, Matt?
It was good, man. It was good. Did some hunting again on Saturday. Watched my Notre Dame Fighting Irish upset number 4 Clemson. Then watched my New York Jets upset the Bills yesterday. Had some great racing in the Xfinity Series on Saturday, just phenomenal. And not so much on Sunday. But personally, yeah, had a nice weekend and quiet. I don't even remember. What do we even do? I don't even remember. Quiet weekend, which is nice, especially like you guys know, like approaching the holidays, it's about to be madness in all of our lives and on the personal side of things. So like these next couple of weeks, if we can get a couple quiet weekends, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was this whole week. I worked a lot last week, a lot of hours, and this whole week I was just looking forward to not doing anything on Friday night and Saturday. And I accomplished that. And then I went up to Eric's on Sunday. But how about you, Eric? How was your Saturday night? You were egging us on Friday.
Yeah, you were. You tried.
I tried. So Friday night, I figured, okay, truck race, championship race, 10 o'clock start. I go, the only way I'm ever going to see this race is if I'm out at the bar to watch it. I have to be up and out. And I'm the only way I'm going to stay awake.
Yeah.
So I had texted you guys to see if you guys wanted to go to the bar and, just throwing it out there. And, he was working all week, tired, and Matt, is a new kid and whatnot. And I was busting back. I'm like, oh, come on, you guys get out. Oh, you can't make it. Oh, come on.
And then the Snapchat comes. I said.
And so I sent them a snap. It was 9:45. I was at the bar. I'm in the parking lot, and I go, I can't make it, boys. I have to leave. I can't do it. I was out at the bar. I tried to stay out. I couldn't do it. I went home Friday. I had the race playing on my phone. I'm laying on the couch. I made it to about almost the end of stage 2 and then out like a light. So I was right there with you boys. I couldn't do it either. I tried, but I did put in 2 shifts that day. I went to work for 8 hours, and then I started drinking right when I got out of work at 2:30 till about 10 o'clock. So,
oh, geez, no wonder why you didn't make it.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. You have a really good excuse.
Yeah.
I tried. But Saturday was the day that I took off. I needed that day to recover on Saturday. Went to the grocery store to prep for the Sunday race. It was weirdly warm here this weekend for the time of the year here in November.
No, so it wasn't beautiful. It was too warm.
It was the best.
We watched
75 is awesome.
We watched the races in my garage all summer long, and it was kind of fitting. Is warm out. Let's take advantage of the weather and let's have one last hurrah up the garage for the championship race. So obviously, like all year round, we had people up the garage and we had a great time watching the championship race and would have liked to see a little bit more racing in the championship race, but it was a good weekend, and I'm grateful for all the people that come stop at the hall and watch the race, and we have a really nice NASCAR family we built this year over the podcast and outside the podcast, at the racetrack, at our hometown bars, amongst our family and friends. I think, honest to God, we're doing something special here, and I just got to give a shout out to everybody that comes up to the hall and really listened to us and took our advice and said, you know what, let's hop on this NASCAR train. And I think we got a good thing going and looking forward to next year.
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of piggyback on that a little bit too, and just say thank you to everyone who listens to us or watches us week in and week out. We watch the numbers, and we see the consistency, and whether this seems like a fun little thing that a couple friends do or not, we truly love the sport. We truly want to grow the sport. It's why we're doing it. So thank you to listening. It's a tight little niche, section of sports. NASCAR is, and we really truly appreciate everyone listening and tuning in and week out. And it's honestly, it's why we do it. Whether it's 10 people or 200 people or 1,000 people, it doesn't. Every set of years means something to us.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, thank you. And we have a blast doing it, and I hope you guys have a blast listening to it.
Absolutely. It's been a fun season, and we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for all the friends of the show. And I got to give a special shout out to two friends of the show. One, Joe Vav, he was the champion in our fantasy racing league that Matt hosts. And then Matt's dad, Mr. Reilly, he came in second. So big congratulations to him. He edged me out by 30 points, and I came in third. But a great time nonetheless. A very fun season. It's been a long season though, and I don't know if you could tell in our voices the last couple weeks. I'm looking forward to taking a couple weeks off and enjoying the off season. I know the drivers and the crews definitely are too. We were talking about it before the show. Some of the post race interviews of some of these guys, you could tell they're just over this season. But
even Chase even said I'm looking forward to just doing something else for a couple months.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Like in every interview, they didn't say the race was or the season was too long. They never said those words. They just basically skirted around it and was just like, yeah, I can't not wait to do something other than NASCAR. And oh man, I can't wait to just take a break for a while and be away from this. And even the tweets from the spotters, the crew guys, the crew chiefs, they're all just who, man, not just mentally, on your body, physically, everything in this, one, and they kept saying one off weekend. Yeah. I noticed in the speech, one off weekend takes a toll on your body. One off weekend takes a toll on this. Oh, take advantage of this off season because, one off weekend. And it was just these subtle things of even the people in the industry working every Sunday on and off the racetrack, it's tough. It is tough and brutal to go 36 weeks.
I saw someone tweet it's only 91 days until Daytona.
Oh yeah, it's 91 days.
They said. I think the tweet said something could you imagine if any of the four major sports only had a 3-month layoff? It's insane. Listen, we love NASCAR, but Jesus, I'm ready to enjoy the holidays, enjoy the second half of the football season. And by mid-January, late January, I'll be ready to rock and roll again for NASCAR. But a nice little break. What is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think that's what we're going to need for a couple months here. A little bit of absence.
Absolutely. And to think too, last year in the off season, there really wasn't much of an off season because they were doing all the next gen testing and stuff like that. Those guys never
They're going to have to do more of that this year too.
That
car, we'll get into it later on. I know I will, at least. That car is far from complete. And so there's going to be a lot more work this off season to get it to where it needs to be.
Oh yeah. But you guys want to jump right into the NASCAR news?
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
Just a few stories. So NASCAR has no plans to adjust the rules after Ross Chastain's move in Martinsville. We discussed that last week, and NASCAR seems to be on the same page that they don't need a rule change. Jimmie Johnson has purchased a stake in Petty GMS Racing. I feel like this is one of the bigger stories this week.
Not enough. I feel like not enough has been made of this story.
No,
it's a huge story.
No one even talked about it on Sunday, I feel like.
No,
right? I know we had a championship race to talk about, but come on. This is you're talking about championship races. How about we have 2 7-time champions just join together?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, like I feel like it was a press conference that nobody saw coming. There was like no rumblings of it until like maybe the night before. And then after that, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Jimmie Johnson's buying a stake, and that was it.
Dude, that's the craziest thing about it is it's such a monstrous story. At least we think it is. And there was not a rumbling. Like, Whitey, I don't know if you saw maybe one or two things. I didn't see anything until the announcement itself was like, until Bianchi.
Nothing about it.
Bianchi was the one who broke the news. Before that, like, I didn't even see.
Oh,
there was no smoke. There was no nothing. Like, it was just.
No,
out of nowhere.
We saw the Bianchi tweet late in the night, and then the next day they had that press conference. And apparently, too, Jimmie Johnson's looking to run a handful of NASCAR races next season.
Yeah.
I think he said 5 races, including the Daytona 500.
And Mr. H is willing to give up the 48.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't even hear that part either.
Well, Alex Bowman will most likely be running a different number, which I think is actually good for him because getting out
Give
from
him
the
his own
48
identity
umbrella is really tough, being under that 48 shadow. So I think it might do Alex Bowman some real good to get his own number anyway. I
agree with that because, like, think about Alex Bowman's career. He was in Dale Jr.'s old number, then he moved over into Jimmie Johnson's old number. Like, he doesn't really have his own identity that he can latch onto himself, and like it's silly, but like even something as simple as a number really does like add to your persona. Yeah. So
and I heard the reason for that swap back then was because of the rumblings of Junior wanting to get in a cup. Mr. H wanted that 88 available for Junior to use that if he started a team. So if he was willing enough to give Junior that 88 and, make that move. That's why obviously nobody's in that in case when Junior comes up, Mr. H is willing to give that number over too. That would be pretty cool to see him give over that 48 car. And Jimmie actually addressed it because I don't know who the reporter was, asked him about it. Like, hey, you only drove the 48. That was your only number. And like, how are you going to feel if you have to drive a different number? And he kind of like acknowledged that, it's going to be weird to be in a different number and this and that. And then right after that, a few days later is when the rumblings of the Mr. H giving the 48 over started to come out too. So that'd be cool on Mr. H.
Hey, should we put on that tinfoil hat and let them know what the bump and run theory is?
You could throw on the tinfoil hat if you want.
Break it down, Matt. Break it down because it's good. It's good.
The bump and run boys put together a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory that I think might come to fruition eventually. At least it does in my dreams.
There's no facts to bear this. It's all just us talking in a group chat, hoping these might happen. So
correct. That was probably a really good qualifier to put that in before I went on this point.
Yeah,
so
we're not breaking news or anything here.
So Jimmie Johnson gets this partnership with Maury Gallagher and Petty, who are both older gentlemen who, let's face it, are not going to be in the sport forever, right? You just can't. Jimmie Johnson is best friends with somebody who's been trying to get into the Cup Series for a couple of years now, but it hasn't been the right opportunity for him.
Been a little too expensive.
One, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We have a theory here at the Bump and Run podcast that eventually Junior is going to buy out either Maury or Richard Petty and become partners with Jimmie Johnson and have Junior and Jimmie run a Cup team together. That's our theory. You never know. I know it's a little crazy, but is it really that crazy?
No, because who ran for Junior Motorsports and is now signed to go to the 42 car?
Yep.
No Gregson.
How about his crew chief?
Coming over. And it's just like, okay, Chevy, Bowtie, Chevy, Hendrick.
Eric Jones' current crew chief is from Junior Motorsports also.
Right. So it's like, it just kind of, this might be the slow process of getting into the sport. And I think it's a great possibility that our minds coming together that thought this out. It's very possible. I mean, look at this last offseason. It was insane. We did all the stuff going on with the Kyle Busch. You don't know what's going to happen in this sport. And like, it's really plausible. And I hope it does happen because like Matt said, Maury Gallagher, they got money, but even like Petty, they're getting up there. Either they want to go all in now, try to do what they can, put all the resources, pick Junior's mind, pick Jimmie's mind. What do we need to get a cup championship as fast as we can? And then once they get close, or even if they get one, here's the keys. Thank you for this. You did this. And they hand it over to both those, the Junior Johnson Racing.
You know it'll be an interesting piece of this whole entire puzzle too. Right now, Petty GMS is aligned with RCR. They get their engines from ECR engines. I wonder if they'll make the switch to Hendrick engines next year.
If they do that, it's almost imminent in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if this does happen, remember who had it first.
Mm-hmm. The big old brains here at the Bumper Run podcast. That's the thing, though. I feel like looking back, a lot of our tinfoil hat theories kind of came to fruition a little bit, even if it's just a kernel of the truth. Speaking of Hendrick Motorsports, former Hendrick Motorsports alum Steve Letarte had an emergency appendectomy on Saturday night. Had to have his appendix removed. Apparently started showing symptoms during the Xfinity race. He broadcasted his way through it and then went to the hospital after. So hoping for a speedy recovery for old Stevie Letarte.
You know, I was thinking about that too, because obviously that news broke yesterday morning before the race. He tweeted out or put on his IG, whichever one, from the hospital bed, saying what happened and that he was in good spirits, yada, yada, yada. But I thought that was one of the first things that popped in my head. Like, well, he just did the Xfinity race last night and no one was the wiser of it. No one knew what was going on. He had his Michael Jordan flu game on Saturday.
I was just going to say that was his flu game moment right there.
Yep.
And then we have to move on to some real sad news. Coy Gibbs, son of Joe Gibbs and co-owner of Joe Gibbs Racing and father of Ty Gibbs, passed away in his sleep after Saturday night's Xfinity Championship. Got to see his son win a championship in his car and then passed away just hours later. So sending all our best wishes to the Joe Gibbs family. I know we did a lot of shit talking last week, but I mean, you don't want to, it's just unfortunate when death happens to anybody. Especially, I feel bad for Joe Gibbs, especially because, I'm not a parent, so I don't know. I'm sure you've heard your parents say this too, though, where it's like, losing your child is the worst fear. Like, you don't want to go before your kids do. And Joe Gibbs lost 2 kids, and just devastating news for them. So wishing them all the best. But that's all I have for NASCAR news. Sorry to end on a real downer note, but it kind of was the black cloud over the race on Sunday.
I will say this in to make light of this, Eric Jones, we just talked about him being on the Dale Jr. download recently, and he talked about the passing of his father, and Dale, they kind of bonded over, they lost their father at a young age.
Yeah.
And I think it really helped Eric mature and, really come into himself as a NASCAR driver, as someone that, he really turned it around. And, after Eric's father had passed away too. So, in a way, this could be a blessing in disguise. I don't know really how to say it comes out right, but, I know Eric and Dale had that conversation. I think if Ty would listen to that conversation, it might actually help him moving forward and grow and to learn from this. And it's a shame, but there's always a silver lining in something.
Yeah, really tough situation. Couldn't imagine it. Don't want to imagine it. What Ty is going through right now, what Joe is going through right now, and that whole family. Put all our feelings aside of everything. It's just a really unfortunate situation, and it's the championship race. The race itself almost took a back seat yesterday, and rightfully so. That's not me picking on anything. That's it was just like Whitey said, a black cloud that kind of hung over everything yesterday, and I'm completely removed from that situation. Here I am watching the race at home, and it kept popping into my head like, man, that just sucks. It stinks. It's a shitty situation. So obviously, all the thoughts go to the Gibbs family.
Sure.
Absolutely. But we do have some racing to talk about. In fact, we have 3 champions to talk about in the Truck Series race. Of course, Zane Smith was your winner and Truck Series champion. Like we kind of said earlier, I saw about the same amount that Eric did, got to about halfway through the second stage, fell asleep, woke up at some point during a commercial. I don't know if the race was over by then or not. I don't remember what time it was. I just turned the TV off, and then around 4 a.m, the dog woke me up. I go, I wonder who won the championship in the Truck Series, and it was Zane Smith. So big congratulations to him.
So right after Eric sent us the Snapchat of him leaving the bar,
yeah,
we were wrapping up, getting ready to bring the baby upstairs and actually crawling to bed ourselves. And I sent a Snapchat response to you guys saying, like, guys, I don't know how long I'm going to make it, but I'll tell you what, I have a really good feeling on Zane Smith. I'm actually going to go ahead and put money down on Zane Smith. And I had every intention in the world of doing so. And I just didn't make it to the DraftKings Sportsbook page. And I ended up not putting a bet in. And I woke up the next morning, and it was like, I woke up for hunting. It was like, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I saw that. And like, I almost didn't go hunting. I was like, I could have made some good money if I just did what I said I was going to do.
Just devastating. That's like
devastating.
That's
it would have been the only bet I hit this weekend too.
That's like the 2 Tyler Reddick wins that I didn't put my weekly bet in for. Like, I fucking bet on that guy. I bet on that guy every race for 2.5 years. And he finally starts winning, and that's when I started forgetting to put those bets in. It's just devastation. Xfinity race, though. Ty Gibbs absolutely dominated, led 125 laps, but the battles were amazing. I think, like you guys said, and we'll get to, probably the race of the weekend, one of the better races I've seen.
The race
all
of the year,
long.
I think.
Yeah. And then, of course, Joey Logano led 5 times for 187 laps on Sunday. 2 hours, 58 minutes, 42 seconds. We saw 6 cautions for 39 laps, 11 lead changes among 6 different drivers, but if you blinked, you'd miss half of those. Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, and Kevin Harvick, your top 5. Fellas, let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
Let's start with Daytona Ron this week. What were you feeling in this race?
I wanted to give it a D. Just because of what I saw on Friday and Saturday. Like, I almost like I couldn't give this thing anything higher than a C. I gave it a C. I guess the restarts, that's where really the only action was. And y'all know, if you listen to this, I hate the restarts at Phoenix because it's just mayhem. And, it was one of those races where clean air was king. If you were out front, if you won the pole and you stayed out front, you were most likely going to keep that position and run away with the race. And, Blaney at the end of the race in his post-race was fired up. He was irritated. He knew he had a better car than Joey did, but like, clean air is king. Like, how many races did we have where you hear drivers bitch about that? I could get to the guy. No way I could get around him. Like, there's just no way. And it's like, that clean air was king. And Joey Logano, props to him. He probably had the best car all day, or one of them stayed up there. He, deserved to win that race and that championship based off the car he had at Phoenix. But, it just lacked a lot of stuff that I normally look for. I mean, I guess there was a little strategy sprinkled in here and there with fuel, but to me, those restarts and the way Phoenix, that track is, it took out an opportunity for, one of our bump and runs drivers to actually have a shot at the end of the race where, Chase, when they spread out, you have to hold line. He sees, you react, and, Chase spins out. And, that you don't want to see that happen. Nobody wants that. You want to see the battle like we saw on Saturday during that race. You want to see hard battles amongst all the championship drivers. And, I saw, I don't know if it was Steve, might have been Jeff, pointed out that, like, even in the beginning, on Saturday, the rule about holding your line And how do you hold your line when everybody's going out? Like, you don't even know where that line is.
Five wide,
so like,
yeah.
Right. So, like, to me, that is already a racetrack, and allowing that, setting up for disaster and setting up what we saw happen to Chase Elliott on Sunday was the fact that, you know, these drivers know that they're going to take gambles and risks and go here and go there and hold your line. But where really is the line, you know? So I don't know. I thought that and how they raced that racetrack, it just doesn't do it for me. It just didn't do it for me. It didn't produce the battles that you like to see. You just see someone cutting a whole stretch of the racetrack to try to get in front of somebody. And I don't know, that racing there on Sunday was not the race that I really wanted to see. There just really wasn't any good battles like we saw on Saturday. And I have to compare it to that. I watched that, and, you know, okay, let's see. I was excited for Cup. You know, we shit on Phoenix all the time, but the weekend gave me promise up to that point.
Yeah.
And it didn't produce for me. And, you know, it's sad that it was a championship race. And I guess I'm just thankful for that Saturday race. And that kept me, you know, going and still in a good mood and, you know, excited about racing. But man, that Sunday race, it just felt like we have another race next week. It just didn't have what I look for in a race in general, let alone the championship race.
All right, how about you, Matt? What'd you think?
Yeah, much like Eric, you know, he said that he probably could have given the race a D. I almost did, but out of respect for the fact that it was our championship race, I gave it a C-. That race stunk, and I just felt so deflated. You know, we had a couple good battles there. We had a little bit of a battle with Christopher Bell and Logano a little later in the race that went for maybe 10, 15 laps. But the Xfinity series, we had a battle between all four drivers. You could throw a blanket over all four of those playoff drivers for pretty much the entirety of the race.
And they were just swapping position from second to third, fourth
and it was
back.
Clean too. It was super clean. It was respect was given in that series, where out of all three series, there was probably the least amount of respect deserved by one of those drivers, and they all gave and got respect. And I don't know, it's hard, because in what world is it okay that our premier Cup series is the worst by far race of the weekend?
Yeah.
Right. That shouldn't be the case. We should have everything building up to our Cup series, our Stanley Cup, our Super Bowl. Like, everything should be building up for that. And it was just the total opposite way that it went. And I don't know. I'm beginning to think it's not Phoenix, because the Xfinity series put on, you know, I know prisoner of the moment and everything, but we've had 72 hours now, 48 hours to think about the Xfinity series race. And for me personally, it was probably the race of the year in any three series. That race was so goddamn good. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage you, when you have time, go watch it on YouTube. They have the replay up already of the entirety of the race. Even if you just want to watch the second half of the race, I mean, the whole race was awesome. But even if you just want to watch the second half, it was just lights out, exactly what you want stock car racing to be. And we just didn't get that on Sunday. And it's super unfortunate. Super unfortunate.
I agree with you guys, and I was going to give it a D too. I only gave it a C- because it was the championship race. I gave it a C- for the C in champion. It sucked. It was lackluster, and we knew it would be, because we've been talking shit on Phoenix for years now. The excitement was at an all-time high going into it, especially after watching that Xfinity race.
That's what hurt the most.
And it just didn't deliver. Now, here's what I'm going to pose to you guys. Do you think, I mean, obviously the racing in the Xfinity series was awesome, but we were also on the edge of our seat the whole time, wondering if something would happen to Ty Gibbs, some sort of retaliation. So you kind of have that anticipation on top of it. Do you think that helped the Xfinity race more than the Cup?
Oh, I do. I think
the battles. The
battles were great.
Racing.
Yeah,
there was racing. I get that. Okay, everybody was looking to see if Ty would get dumped, but to me, when he was so far out in front, just like Logano, when they had that clean air, I kind of almost knew that besides a restart, if he lost it on pit road and didn't come out first, even on the restarts, nobody was going to get up to him to dump him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of had that feel for me. So I think the racing on track and the swapping back and forth from, like you said, from first back to fifth, even Josh Berry, he made it up into the picture a little bit. And I think the racing did more. And the Gibbs thing was there on the outside, but I don't think that's what set it up and put it above and beyond.
Now,
we can't take anything away from the racing. The racing was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. But I mean, and again, I could just speak for myself. It was definitely the reason why I made sure to tune into that race. With everything building up the whole week leading up to it. It's why I was watching the race in the first place, because listen, I had Notre Dame's biggest game of the season on, at the same time. So, and then also, if you're a college football fan, Alabama, LSU on them at the same time every year. That's a huge game. So I left. Listen, I had the Xfinity Series race on. I left it on the big screen because through the end, because it was that good. So the Ty Gibbs.
Didn't you say you missed a Notre Dame touchdown because of it too?
Well, I had it on the small TV, and then eventually, once the race ended, I flipped it over. But yeah, I did. I was like, I haven't missed a Notre Dame touchdown since Nam, and I missed a Notre Dame touchdown because of the Xfinity Series. But yeah, the Ty Gibbs drama got me to the race, but it was the racing.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, because like the Xfinity races from week to week. You forget about it. You have something going on, but you're 100% right with that. Like I was not gonna miss that race for anything.
Yeah.
Now I'm also wondering too, since Logano did kind of just run away with it, but the other drivers
dominated. That wasn't it. That's not the reason why I didn't enjoy the race.
But
by the way, I appreciated domination.
Well, no, so
even if it's a guy I don't like, it was just.
So
it sucked. The race sucked.
So to my point, so Saturday, Ty Gibbs was kind of running away with it. He had that middle to high line that was just dominating on restarts. But then you had all the other junior motorsports guys kind of battling for position, second and third, and like battling themselves, I think the problem with the Cup race was the other playoff drivers were never really in contention to battle even themselves, let alone to battle Logano, because like looking at who led laps, I mean, Chase Briscoe led 11, Ryan Blaney led 109, and then everyone else just led 1 or 2 laps. Cole Custer led 3, AJ Allmendinger led 1, and Eric Jones led 1. Or no, Alex Bowman led 1. So it's like the other playoff drivers just were never there. And I feel like even on restarts, like some guys would get shuffled to the back. I feel like the story all race long was waiting for, Ross or Christopher Bell to get through the pack to get to him, or Chase was in like 4th trying to get to him, Am I off on this?
Year, though,
you're not.
Like that's been the car this year. It's done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From week to week, that like you're going to have that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, Christopher Bell, he could run up front for a couple weeks in a row, but you're not going to do that every week. Like, I think in Xfinity, those top guys were always running around each other no matter what in that top 5, top 10. In the Cup Series this year, like, you didn't do that. You had some people that struggled in the beginning and had to get up there. And, I kind of have to agree with you on that one, Whitey. I mean, if you had Chastain and Bell, and let's say they all started in the top 5 and all race long, they're battling by each other, that very well may have created a little bit more excitement because the championship guys were next to each other battling the whole time. But where Chastain qualified 25th, and it took him a while to come up through the field, and Christopher Bell showed flashes, but while all that is going on, you just have the 22 riding around up front, while these other championship drivers are trying to figure it out and get up to the front. Joey was just out on a Sunday drive.
Yeah.
You know what it was too? So I just looked at my race grade from last year. I gave Phoenix a B+. If you remember last year, at a certain point of the race, you could have made a case for any one of the 4 winning. All 4 playoff drivers last year in the Phoenix race had a moment
shot,
where it was like, oh, Denny's definitely going to win this race.
Yeah.
Oh, Chase is definitely going to win this race. Oh, Larson, okay, is definitely going to win this race. Every driver had a moment during that race where, oh, God, okay, so this is the guy who's going to win, and then it would change, where the entire race from start to finish, it was like, Logano's going to win this race. Like, that's it. Like, there's –
Yep. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Yep.
Something's going to have to happen for that to not happen, and,
I wonder too if the broadcast is kind of to fault too, just because I wonder if there was racing that we missed throughout the field and they just didn't focus on it because they always focus on the championship for drivers.
I thought about that too, Whitey. That's a great point, Whitey. That is a great point because I bitched about that. I don't know if that was last week or the week before, and then I think you corrected me in a way, and you're like, well, it's like the championship 4 and who makes it, that's who they're going to focus on in that last race, the championship 8. So to your point, that's all they're going to show. Majority on Sunday is where they're at, who they're battling with, and not really focus on, many other drivers because, hey, it's the championship 4. So, you know what? You might be right about that. That probably did factor into an overall race grade. Like if they showed maybe some of the other battles, if this was like the spring race, for instance, it might have gotten maybe a B- or something because we would have noticed those other battles a little bit. And like you said, the broadcast could have highlighted those a little more.
All right, let's do the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
We did not get 3 wide for the lead with 1 lap to go this past week, and that is my wrecker right there. But no, Matt, let's start with you. What's your checkers and wreckers for the week?
So my checkers goes to Alan Gustafson, crew chief for the number 9 of Chase Elliott, to call a short pit, call in Chase in short pit Chase because Chase was floating around 7th, 8th, 9th. Wasn't going anywhere. They knew something had to be done. He called him in early. They made up a ton of track position on fresh tires when everyone else was staying out on old tires. And it really put Chase in contention to battle Logano up there in the front of the pack before, he got wrecked out. So it was just a great call by Alan Gustafson. I personally think, and maybe this is a biased opinion, but I personally would put Alan Gustafson up against pretty much any crew chief out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Chase just seem like no matter what, they are always on the same page. You don't hear them bitching at each other. They've never had a public instance before. It just seems like race in and race out, they're always on the same page. Whatever Alan says, Chase trusts it 100%. And more oftentimes than not, it works out. Just unfortunate circumstances where a racing incident occurred on a restart. Chase got wrecked out. No fault to Ross in my mind. No fault to Ross. They were racing. It's a restart. It's the dog leg. You lose position of lines and all that, like we just said. And just an unfortunate situation. That car could have been anyone, but it was a championship 4 driver that got wrecked out. And of course, it's Ross, who already has a bad reputation anyway of doing stuff like that. Which
I think the majority of the people saw it as a racing incident, and I think that, So I don't think anyone was pointing fingers here or there, at least from what I saw.
I didn't
As soon as I saw that happen, though, I go, he just lost every new fan he made after last week who was a Chase fan because he just pissed off everybody there, But,
I don't know.
But I agree. I think it was a racing incident.
I think most people, I think to his – I don't know if you want to say like an excuse built in, but I think everyone knows, like Manny said, that dog leg there, how everyone tries to cheat that and fan out. Blame Phoenix in that dog leg for giving the opportunity for something so silly of a racing incident like that to happen at. That doesn't happen anywhere else but they're cutting the dog leg.
We need a double yellow line.
Fair fan, and you just call it like you see it.
Right.
It was an accident. Ross even went on as soon as it happened. Ross went on the radio and said, I didn't mean, I really, truly did not mean to do that. That was not my intentions at all. So, what are you going to do? They're doing it's a restart, so they're not doing 180 miles an hour at that moment, but they're going fast. The emotions are running as high as they've ever run. It is what it is. It just stunk because Alan Gustafson put Chase in really good position there and made a hell of a call there.
And Whitey, I think I mentioned it to you in that second stage there. I'm like, I actually said, does C Bell right here, like, does he do a Hail Mary? I go, when does he do it? 'Cause I think he was the one that was behind it. I'm looking at you. I go, this might be where C Bell does the Hail Mary throw. And then I might have been going around, and then later on, I'm like, wait a minute. I go, what happened to? And you go, he did it. He was the one that he short pitted. So
yeah,
I think Bell was going to do it, and Chase ended up being the one to make that strategy call first.
Yeah, because he short pitted. I think it was stage 3. He short pitted, and because he had a great long run car. C-Bell had a great long run car where like it would get faster throughout the end of the run. But then a caution came out. And as they were pitting under caution, I think the tire guy got his finger stuck in the nut. I don't know what happened to that tire guy too.
19-second stop.
Yeah, and that it destroyed their day. But like I was hoping that would be the deciding factor, was pitting. I think he pitted like 2 or 3 laps earlier than everybody else. And it could have been if it wasn't for that caution coming out later on. I think it was Michael McDowell smashing into the side of who did McDowell get into?
I remember him thinking about
Bowman. Oh yeah, Bowman, who was just back for the last race of the season. And of course, he gets into a car accident. Hopefully, his head is okay and it didn't compound any of the injuries he had. But yeah, fucking wild night. How about your records? What's your records for the weekend?
My records goes to, so I think the jury is out, at least for now. My records goes to this new car. You know, now that we have a whole year under our belt with this new car and an entire sample size, I think it's safe to say that this car is far from where it needs to be from a safety aspect, from a competition aspect. It's just nowhere near where it needs to be. And I know they're addressing a lot of that this offseason, or they're going to try their hardest to address it, specifically the safety. But also I saw different packages being put in place, hopefully for the short track and for the road course packages. You know, I don't know. It was kind of nice all season not have to say that dirty little NASCAR word, packages.
Oh yeah.
But we might have to go back to packages because the super speedway racing was phenomenal. The intermediate track racing was phenomenal, but our bread and butter, our short tracks stunk. Our road courses that they're trying to make more and more prevalent in the series. You want to gain more fans. You want to add more road courses. You better not take away the competitive level of these road courses. And the road courses suffered big time. So Phoenix gets a bad rap from us specifically, from me specifically. But I don't know. We saw 2 great series. The trucks and Xfinities put on great shows Friday and Saturday night. And then Sunday, the Cup car put on a dud. And it's our most talented 36 individuals in the world. And or it's our most talented 35 individuals and Cody Ware. But
yeah.
But nonetheless, we had a dud of a race, and I think it's the car, and they've got another off season. Listen, they've only got 3 months to figure this out, and it's gonna be busy.
Yeah.
If I'm NASCAR, I'm taking today off, and I'm getting back in the offices tomorrow to try to figure this thing out because Daytona's gonna be here before we know it. But hey, new car, get it
together. We're getting there.
Yeah. We'll figure it out in like 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah. We'll have it by the end of next season. I did hear rumblings. NASCAR is working on some aero differences for short tracks and road courses. There's not much they could do engine wise, I think. So we'll keep you updated on that throughout the off season.
They won't mess with the horsepower because there's a lot that goes into it. So
yeah.
Which is unfortunate because that's what everyone's clamoring for. But
just give us more horsepower. Make it 1,000 horsepower. Make them harder to drive. Anyways, how about you, Eric? What's your checkers and wreckers?
My checkers, it has to go to that Xfinity race. That was 10 out of 10. Like Matt said, I think that was just, honest to God, the best racing throughout from start to finish. The battle, it went on from start to finish. You couldn't blink an eye. Yeah. I was watching that race out in my garage with my girlfriend, and we were glued. There was probably a good like 30-minute, like 40-minute where like nothing was said, staring at the TV, like, oh my God. Like, you know, when you're just so intense and into something, like you're just like, you're just staring and you're just like, oh my God, you can't look away. Phenomenal, great race. But to switch it more towards the Cup side, my checkers goes to Ford. They just found something towards the latter half of the year. And, that's when Harvick rattled off 2 wins. Briscoe started coming around. We know the consistency of Ryan Blaney all year long and the consistency of Logano all year long. He didn't have as many, of the, I guess, races where he was in the mix to win. But man, the Fords found something, got consistent, and look what happened in the championship race. You had Logano, you had Blaney, you had Briscoe, and you had Harvick, all in the top 5. Only one person, Chastain in a Chevy, made the top 5 at Phoenix. So Ford found something at the end, and hopefully maybe I'll stick on my prediction again for next year that I thought was going to happen this year with RFK. Maybe this momentum rolls into next year too. But I have to give credit to Ford at the end of the year. They really came on, and they might not have won the owners' championship because didn't Chase and Larson, didn't he win that for Chevy?
No, Logano. I think Logano won it, right? Logano would have won the owners' championship.
What was Larson? What was Larson all like getting up about that he wanted to win?
Well,
it was the owners' championship.
So Larson was running for the owners' championship. So because Kurt Busch pulled out of the drivers' championship, but the car stayed in the owners' championship, the points were jumbled where Larson had advanced in the owners' championship, but he didn't advance in the drivers' championship. But Logano won overall.
Overall, okay.
Yeah. So if any of the guys won, except for who was it? Chase Elliott.
Chastain?
No. So Chase was knocked out of the owners' championship in points, but he advanced in the drivers' championship.
It's really confusing.
It is. Yeah. It's really confusing. So basically you swap Chase with Larson. So if Chase won the championship, he would have won the drivers' championship, but he would have lost the owners' championship. And whoever came in next to Chase would have won the owners' championship.
Okay.
Whether it be Logano, Larson, or Christopher
So basically
Bell.
Ford spoiled that whole thing then.
Kind of, yeah. They picked it up all across the board, except for the manufacturers' championship. Chevy always wins the manufacturers' championship.
They just have the most, right?
Of them. Yeah. What is it? My checkers and wreckers. My checkers, you got to give it to Joey Logano. You have to. He qualified up front, maintained a perfect race all night long. He really only was challenged by his teammate Ryan Blaney later on in the 3rd stage, and I doubt Ryan Blaney is going to do anything to Logano running for a championship. The guy knows how to work the playoff system, probably better than anybody. I did some digging in the stats. Over the last 10 years, he's made the championship for 5 times, and I believe he's only finished outside of the top 10 in points once. I think it was like
we
13
all said
or something.
it. We all said it for the entirety of the playoffs. If there's one guy who knows how to manipulate the playoffs like no one else, it's Joey Logano, and he did it. He had 3 weeks. He won back in Homestead,
Kansas,
Vegas.
Vegas. Yes.
He won back in Vegas, so he had 3 weeks to massage that car and work on it and just get ready, not worry about any of the other races, and just get ready for Phoenix. And that's what happens when you give a one-time champion that many weeks. And you can't steer away from his crew chief, Paul Wolf. He's an unbelievable. I just mentioned Alan Gustafson being one of the best crew chiefs in the Cup Garage. Paul Wolf is up there as well, and you gave him 3 weeks to work on his craft, and that's what happens.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And then, sorry, I got lost. I apologize for that. My records is Phoenix. The track, it just isn't it. It's not it. We complain about Phoenix before we go every year. I don't enjoy it as a fan. I know you guys don't really enjoy it as a fan. And I don't think it's ever going to be it. Stop trying to make Phoenix happen.
We have a personal grudge that will never get released by me. I'll hold that personal grudge until I die against that racetrack.
I think it's a fair grudge too. I think it is. I don't know. Like we talked
I was gonna piggyback though, Whitey. Like, that's also my checkers. That's why I kind of just like let you get into that, because it didn't, to hit on your records here as well. Like, it didn't have that championship feel either.
No.
Like, I looked out, you just see the desert. There was something about it. It just felt like there was another week. The crowds there, I wasn't impressed by the crowds on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Like, I know all sold out, whatever, but like, I need more around the track, and like being there, and Matt was there as well. It's a good 45 minutes from the racetrack of complete darkness till you get to any kind of civilization. At least that's what I remember. So like, if you're going to a championship race, I don't know, I would want my fans and the drivers and everyone to be somewhere where they could really enjoy themselves and really, go out and be like, hey, I'm the champion, and enjoy that weekend for what it is.
Yeah.
And to me, Phoenix just doesn't have that championship feel that, I guess, in my opinion, what I'm looking for.
No, I agree. Like the vibe just wasn't there. We were talking about before the podcast, it felt like there's another race next week. I feel like we're just getting off the West Coast swing and we're going to Atlanta or something like that. Like it didn't feel special. And Matt, you mentioned it too. Like, we didn't finish under the lights, and I feel like that is a simple vibe.
It's the aesthetics of everything. Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't. I've touched on this before, on the podcast. I see old clips of the championships when they were running Homestead, and it just crushes me that we aren't there anymore, because that had the vibe. Like, that had South Beach, that had everything. It was, it was a party. It was a celebration of the season. It was the bright lights of the track. It was a packed grandstands. It was everything. And I don't know, Phoenix is just missing it. Like, it's just missing it for me.
Well, we'll talk about it in the pick a lane, because I want to explore other options for the championship race. I feel like we did this a couple weeks ago, but I would like to revisit it after just seeing everything. All right, race notes. Really not much to talk about that we haven't covered. Ryan Blaney led 3 times for 109 laps. Briscoe led once for 11 laps. Chase Elliott got turned by Ross Chastain. I did put racing deal question mark on it because I wasn't sure how you felt, but today it is it's a racing deal. I was furious for you in the moment. I was cursing up and down, and then you got mad at me. I forgot that was funny too.
So we had Steph's siblings came over for dinner last night, and she asked me, she's like, I know it's the championship race. Do you care if they come over? I'm like, no, that's totally fine. But like, I'm going to be myself. Like, the race is on, the way the house setup is our kitchen. You could see the TV and everything in the living room. So we're eating and everything. And we like literally just started eating, and Chase gets dumped.
Oh, no.
And her siblings are younger than us, and they got to see Angry Sports Fan Matt. Which you guys have seen Angry Sports Fan Matt. Yeah. There's some words that probably came out of my mouth, but I don't know what they were or anything, but I had to apologize. No, they laughed, no one was offended.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't, that's for behind closed doors. But I lost my cool for a minute there. And then I realized, you know what? Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world.
I was super pissed because me and your dad were in a very tight points battle in fantasy, and all race long we were tied. Like, our lineups were tied. We didn't have the same lineup, but somehow it was tied no matter what. And he had William Byron, and I had Chase Elliott in the lineup. I needed William Byron to get wrecked out in the worst way, and then Chase got wrecked out. And like earlier on too, I was trying to swap Christopher Bell out of my garage, but we were 5 laps behind on the stream at Eric's house. So by the time I went to switch, like, the stage had already ended and stuff. And And I was like, no, I was like, fuck Chase. And I texted you that, but I didn't put any punctuation in between it. So it looked like I was saying like, fuck Chase, you know? And you're like, fuck you, man. I was like, no. I was like,
as soon as you explained yourself, I'm like, I was like, you know what? I should not have. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry.
Because, like, I was like, no, I meant like, fuck, Chase, no. You know, like, I was in the same boat as you were. I was just as pissed.
That's why talking is way better. You can get the context of what you're doing. A simple word.
Yeah.
It's all how you read it, you know?
Yeah. But, like, no punctuation. I'm like, oh, fuck, no. Like, I get it. But, man, just, it sucked for Chase because, like, I don't know. I feel like if anyone had a car to do it, it probably would have been him.
Sport. It sucked for the sport, like the fans of the sport. Like, I know people were celebrating because people don't like Chase, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it sucked. If you're a NASCAR fan, like, he would have given Joey, he was giving Joey the best shot at beating Joey. So we just kind of, as a fan base, as a NASCAR fan base, got robbed of maybe getting to see that shootout.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I thought as well when that went down. You know, it was like Whitey said about the Xfinity race. Those three were battling the entire time. And if Chase, you know, doesn't have that incident happen, we very well may have gotten a battle that we all wanted and thrived for in our championship race. I do have to agree with that.
But other than that, I don't know what else to add to this race. It was like we said,
congrats. The 22 and 22. So hey, I guess Bubba, the 23 and 23. You're up, buddy.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can get that one done. I don't know. You do have to give it to Joey Logano. He won the Clash. He won the final race of the season. I think it was the first time that was ever done since like 1960 something. And
Tony Stewart did it.
Oh, it was Tony Stewart. Yes. Yeah. And then what am I thinking?
Tony is the king at winning firsts.
So
he won the first dirt race at Bristol. He won the first Clash race. He won. There was something else thrown in there.
There was some other stat though.
There was something else. And then he won the first championship with the next gen car.
Yeah.
But there was something else that he won too.
Did he win a road course too somewhere like Gateway or something like that?
Oh yeah.
He
won Gateway. Yeah, he won Gateway, didn't he? That was the Ross Chastain Denny race. It's a little short track type.
But that was the first time Cup was there, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's some stat that goes back to the 60s, and I think it was the first. He was the first two-time Ford champion since like 1968 or something.
Which is insane to think about. Think about all the Ford drivers, Rusty Wallace, all these Ford drivers that didn't get 2 championships. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, like,
as a Ford. Didn't Rusty win with 2? Or is he just a one-time champion?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But like, just thinking like the last 20 years in Team Penske, you know, you had Brad Keselowski, he only won 1. Joey Logano finally won his second one. And then like,
you gotta think about it. Roush collapsed. Roush really shit the bed, and from that moment forward, Ford was done for. Once Roush collapsed, when the Kenseth and
Roush
Edwards,
used to have 5.
They wanted to leave.
Roush had 5-6 cars at one point where they literally
5 cars,
and they got every single one into the chase.
I think they just showed a picture. Like Kurt Busch was the last one of that Fab 5 for Roush.
Rusty only has 1 championship. Which blows my mind, but yeah, he has 1 championship in 1989.
Yeah, that's just insane. You know, I guess though, with Roush kind of collapsing in the mid 2000s there, and yeah, I mean, there really is only one powerhouse, and for the longest time, Penske was Dodge too. I forgot about that. You know, like that is kind of crazy. But yeah, you just got to congratulate Joey Logano, man. 22 got done, 22. And what was the deal too? He told his kid he was going to go out and win the pole, and he was going to go out and win the race. He didn't make himself a liar to his kid too. So that's kind of cool. He's a family guy, so you know you gotta feel good for that.
I knew the writing was on the wall that Logano was going to win the championship. The minute my cousin Shredder, my cousin-in-law, Kimmy, left her Joey Logano koozie at my house at one of the parties, right?
Should have burned it.
You know what? This is where karma got me big time. I had that koozie, right? I threw it right on the floor of my house, right? I said, fuck this koozie in the 22 car. And my cats used that thing as a friggin' kickstick toy. They were playing with that thing, tearing it apart, scratching at it. I'm throwing it to them as a toy. I'm like, yeah, get that, tear it up, tear that koozie up. Fuck the 22 for weeks. My cats loved kicking the shit out of that 22 koozie. And you know what? As soon as championship came around and he made the Final Four, going, oh no. And that morning, I almost sent the snap to Kimmy because my one kitty Xena had that thing and she was kicking that thing and scratching it. I'm going, yeah, I'm going to get it. And I went for my phone to go take a snap to send to Kimmy. And right when I got my phone, my cat stopped playing with it. I'm like, all right, maybe that was a good sign. Not like, Eric, don't send that video. Maybe it was a good thing you didn't send it. Good karma. But the weeks were already building up to that point.
Too late. It was too late.
It was too late.
The Cats put out too much bad karma, and Logano walks away with the title. But here's the thing: here on the Bump and Run podcast, everyone loves to talk about the winner, Joey Logano, but we also have to talk about the last place driver. That was one Landon Castle. He lost it 84 laps in that 77 Spire Motorsports car. And over the last couple weeks, we've decided that Spire needs to get off the track. They're just as bad as Rick Ware Racing. I'm over Spire. Ty Dillon's going there next year. I don't know if we mentioned that in the news last week, but good luck with him and Corey LaJoie. And that's the 2022 season, fellas.
That's it.
It's
just
in the
like
books.
that.
It's in the books, but we still have one debate topic. We talked about it a little bit earlier.
Mashed potatoes versus stuffing.
Oh, whoa!
Oh, that's not what we're gonna.
I am going.
There's only one correct answer here, so be careful.
I eat mashed potato. I eat mashed potatoes way more, but I love stuffing a whole lot more than mashed potatoes.
I have stuffing one time a year, and it's Thanksgiving. I don't have stuffing any other time. I can get mashed potatoes whenever I want. Stuffing, it's one time and one time only.
Shout out to my stepmother, Kim Reilly. She makes, I don't know what the secret ingredient is. I don't know what it is, but she makes the best stuffing. She has the homemade sausage in it. It's everything. It's just if I can go to a coma right now and wake up 2 weeks from now and it's Thanksgiving, I'd be thrilled because it's the best. It's the best thing in the world. She makes me enough to have for leftovers. It's so I love stuffing so much.
I just got hit with a deja vu moment. I feel like we had this same exact conversation last off season after Thanksgiving.
We might have.
Because
are we doing reruns already?
Because I feel like you've mentioned your mother's stuffing before, and it had to be on this show.
That was in the text message.
I love stuffing. I want to know though, homemade or stovetop? Because I go stovetop. I am trash like that. I love the stovetop stuffing.
Stovetop is great. It's fine, but you gotta go homemade stuffing.
All right. I'm down with it. What about you like a little celery in this stuffing or no?
Oh yeah. Okay. There's celery in this stuffing that I'm talking about.
And I'm not a big celery guy, you know what I mean? But it does add a little bit of texture you need in the stuffing, or else it's just mushy bread. You need
that one little piece of crunch every now and then, that crunchy water celery. I agree, but no, the true pickle lane. NASCAR wants a Game 7 finish for the championship. Phoenix doesn't produce that. It doesn't. It did for the Xfinity series, kind of. It didn't for Cup. Where should we go to get that exciting Game 7, like, ending to the championship? What track sticks out to you guys for that?
I would personally like to see them go to Nashville. So I guess obviously, exclude Homestead.
Homestead, because we've talked about Homestead a lot. Yeah.
Because obviously it would be Homestead for me, but I would like Nashville. And I think we've even said this before. I think we are in reruns because I've definitely said that Nashville, is where we have our banquet.
The big city vibes.
It's the feel of Nashville matches so well with the feel, the I don't know, the personality of the city of Nashville matches so well with the personality of the sport of NASCAR.
Yeah.
They complement each other so well. It's a growing city. The fans show up. We've seen 2 great races at Nashville over the past 2 years. It's a mile and a half. It's different. I would personally like to see it at Nashville.
All right. How about you, Eric? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it depends on if there's a few things that goes into mind, what I was thinking. Like, one, if they do end up shortening the schedule and having it end a little bit sooner, why not? This is biased. Why not have it at Pocono Raceway? You're right in between Philly and New York, and Philly is Xfinity's hometown state.
Yeah.
So you're at home for the championship, and then Cup. Who gets more rowdy than us Pocono Raceway fans?
That's
and
true.
Right in between New York and Philly have a championship race. It's the East Coast, so that's one of them there. But number 2, if it goes well, and they want to do this West Coast opportunity to stick with that, why not have it at the Clash of the Coliseum where they're having this race? It worked well to start. It worked well now. If they want to keep it on the West Coast, short track.
Yeah,
why not?
But the Clash only worked because we had half the cars on the track. Like, it's too small,
Yeah.
I feel like,
It's too small. Although, it would be.
Maybe Fontana when they become a short track.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I'm saying something along those lines. If you want to keep it West Coast, I could see that. But Phoenix isn't it. I was even thinking in my mind, I was thinking Texas. If they build that sick, awesome short track at Texas, it's in the middle of the country. You could get from both aspects of it. I'm just it doesn't have to be that Coliseum. Something like that where they could bring, I don't know, I want to see a short track finale. I want to see a championship race on a true short track. Don't fucking call Phoenix a short track.
Yeah, no.
Do not call it a short track. That is not short track. I want to see the Cup Championship. I love Bristol, but as far as the championship city, everything, the racing would be great there, but you also have to factor in, well, I guess you don't if it's at Phoenix. You know what I mean? It can be anywhere. But I want to see our championship race on a short track.
So a couple things. Texas, never going to be a short track. They're limited with the way those condos are in the corner and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have to keep it at a mile and a half, but they're gonna work on it. Short track though, Fontana, California is about 40 miles or so away from LA. So it is a little bit of a haul, but you're still close enough to LA. And they've been talking about turning Auto Club into a short track. So that could work. I would like to see Vegas too. I think Vegas would be a good mile and a half in a good city to end the championship. But if you want to go true short track, I wrote it down before the show. Let's go to Martinsville. Let's go to Martinsville for the championship. What did we see last week? We saw
car. What I saw out of this car, I know, and I know that contradicts what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But look at Martinsville.
But look at the race.
Have the pomp and circumstance around a championship.
True. But there's the history at Martinsville. There's the history of it being its oldest track, and it's a short track. And what did we see at the end of the race last week? A Game 7 moment to get yourself into the championship for now.
Very valid.
Now,
very valid. If that was the championship race and he sent it like that,
exactly.
I cannot. Argument over, Whitey.
It's over.
That's what I'm saying. Last week was what NASCAR is chasing for the championship.
Game 7 moment.
Yeah.
True Game 7 moment. Yes.
Think about Logano and fucking Truex coming to the line to get their way into the championship for a couple of years ago. Just there, you want those moments, you're going to get them at Martinsville.
Yes, that's the vibe that I'm looking for, Whitey. I just couldn't get it out like that. That's why short track, we all love that Martinsville was a cutoff race because of what? How close you are, the beat and the bang and the excitement it could cause. Okay, yeah, that's a cutoff race.
Yeah.
Why not take that same mentality of a cutoff race and have that your actual championship race?
Yeah. And to Matt's point, like, you do want a big city. You want a lot of people to come and enjoy the atmosphere and stuff. But I feel like Martinsville has that just through the history of it, you know, and you could build that type of thing, like with sponsor activation and all that stuff. You know, people are going to travel to Martinsville anyways, you know? And then whatchamacallit? I don't know. I think I lost my thought. I don't know.
It's been a long season.
It's been a real long season. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a good spot to end it. Maybe go.
Oh, you know where?
Maybe transition to night time too for the finish. You know, you end under the lights. Yeah, I don't know. What were you gonna say?
Oh, the Chicago Street Course.
I don't know. We'll see. Oh, that reminds me of what I was going to say. We'll see what happens with Chicago. Maybe if it's good. What I was going to say though, with the short track, you're right. The car definitely does need some work to produce better short track racing. But I think if we could get the car there, we can make Martinsville a hell of a right. Championship race, you know? So I don't know.
I'm looking too for the fans. Like, I know I bitched about it on Friday, like the start time and how the West Coast, like this is an East Coast majority for the sport, you know, Charlotte where it's at, like keep it kind of more close to the East Coast. And, you know, I mean, if you don't want to do that, that's why I mentioned Texas, just for the fans and the timing of it all.
Yeah.
Texas in the middle of the country might work a little bit better timing wise, where we do get that sunset, you know, into night, you know, race where you're not staying up on either side of too late or it starts too early. I kind of have to think of that as well, because man, you know, that it was all over the place with the timing, you know, like I thought, you know, the truck race started way too late. I thought the cup race started too early. It didn't extend into night. And, you know, I think the TV and the time schedules there had an effect for me. So that's why, like, if maybe pick somewhere in the middle, like Texas, where, you know, the time difference isn't as great, and a little closer to the East Coast, where a majority of your race fans are, and make it a little bit more willing for some of those people to go to a championship race as well, who follow the sport through and through on the East Coast.
If the Cup Series race started at like 5:30 or 6 last night and it ends around 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 East Coast time, which would be fine, we would still get that ending under the lights out in Phoenix. I think I think the change, also like the change in temperature, the track changes, everything like that. Like it would be a long play for the strategy for a lot of these guys. I think that possibly changes the outcome of the race as well. I mean, we saw the Xfinity race under the lights and it was fantastic. We saw the Truck Series end under the lights and it was fantastic. So I don't know.
And to your point, I love when you get that transition from day to night, because it changes the complexity of the race, where
it adds another
it
element.
Pulls the track down.
Oh, he's
There's
not good in
different
the
strategy.
first stage. That's okay, because everything's going to change in an hour and a half from now. You know,
I think I actually asked you, Whitey, at my house on Sunday yesterday. I think I go, hey, like, do we think this race has enough cautions or gets to like where like it gets dark out and the track changes? Like, I think we had a conversation about that. I think it was with you, or it might have been with Puff. I'm not sure, but I had mentioned it. I'm like, I kind of hoping that it transitions. So you have those different setups. Like if you know the track is going to change, hey, some people might have that already built into their car. Like they were telling Ty, on Saturday, hey, I know you're going to be loose on this run, but you just have to get through this run, because we need that for later on. It's going to help our next adjustment. Hang on to it. So you're right, Whitey. It does add a different element to the race when you know that.
No, yeah. I don't know. I feel like we could be doing way better than we're doing at Phoenix, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
But we have to look to the future, and that is 2023. Cars on track, Cup back on track, February 5th for the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum.
That's my birthday.
Is it?
Hell of a birthday present.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy
wow.
early birthday. Do we make a preseason prediction right now, or we'll wait until
No, we have plenty of time for that.
All right. We do have to go over our picks for the the week, and I forgot to add in the points for each person. So Matt, you picked Chase Elliott, and he got you how many? I think it was 9.
No, I didn't. I picked Chastain.
Oh yeah, you did pick Ross Chastain. You took the hat off, and then you put your watermelon shirt on. I forgot about that. Let's see, how many points did he get you? He got you 34 points. Eric picked Christopher Bell. He got you 27 points. And I picked Brad Keselowski to win the race and Joey Logano win the championship. Brad got me 2 points. So
I won the money?
No, you didn't. Well, you won for the week. You won for the week. But overall, in the championship stats, Matt, you came in third. You had 1,047 points.
Whitey got me, I think, at the end.
Eric, you came in second. You had 1,093 points. And I came in first with 1,123 points.
Let the record show that there were a couple races where I just randomly selected.
You did. You picked Ty Gibbs for one race, and he got you like 1 point. And you picked someone else that got you like 1 point. There was a Ross Chastain pick in there that he DNF'd, and he got you 1 point.
I blew a catastrophic lead in this contest in the over the championship. I had probably the worst championship 10 races, not only in this show picks, but in actual fantasy picks as well. And I was so bad on Sunday, I didn't even put a lineup in for our fantasy.
I'm like, oh, Eric didn't even put a lineup in.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I was watching the Jaguar football game on my phone, and like the race is on the TV. I'm screaming at it. We're coming back from 17-0. I'm like, I'm not ruining this stream to put a lineup in for what? To come in fourth.
Yeah, over the last 5 races, you only broke 20 points twice. And yeah, Matt, you had a Ty Gibbs 1 point and a Christopher Bell 3 points at Texas. Oh, Christopher Bell had an awful Texas for you. And then I was just consistent the whole time. Got lucky.
Congratulations, Whitey. There you go. Congrats, Whitey. There you go.
Thank you. I got lucky throughout the playoffs in our picks. But yeah, I don't know. I feel that's all I got. You guys have anything else to add to the podcast?
That's it, man.
I think Matt did have something that he texted earlier.
Oh, so the Joey Logano one?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
now
sorry.
that he is a 2-time champ, we can't. Go ahead, Matt. So
now that Logano is a 2-time champion, is it time that we stop calling a grown-ass man Joey?
Yeah.
And we start referring him to as Joseph Logano or maybe just Joe Logano. I'm not calling him Joey ever again. It's going to be Joe Logano from here on out.
Is that just us? Because I feel that too now. Like, that just, it just feels weird. You know what I mean? Like one of those.
When Logano's 78 years old and someone refers to him as Joey, that's not going to be the weirdest thing in the world.
No, it is kind of weird. I'm going to say, though, Joe Logano just sounds wrong. Maybe it's because we haven't heard it. Joe Logano.
Well, because Joey Logano's been around forever. So it's like you just know Joey Logano. You know what I mean? But you know what? Right here at the Bump and Run podcast, we love to start nicknames. We got Slick Willie 2 Clocks. And you know what? We got Dennis Hamlin. We got James Hamlin. We always go off the radar with names. So you know what? From this point forward, I might start referring to him as Joe Logano.
Joe Logano sounds like he works down at Wise grocery store.
Yeah, making spicy chicken sandwiches.
On that note, we will talk to you in a couple weeks from now.
Hold on.
What's that?
It's the end of our season here.
Yeah.
And we all have some really, really big news. And we're giddy about it, and I couldn't wait to share it. So if you'll give me a second, I'm going to go grab that. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, we'll talk to you in a couple weeks from now. We've got some great off-season content. We should have a new show in about 3 weeks, and we'll let you know what Matt's big reveal was at the end here. He's leaving us on a cliffhanger. For Matt the Stabman Reilly, For Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The bump and run.
There it is.